startups can be SMEs. Okay. So you are micro, small, medium enterprise. Let's take it back home. The hairdresser that even has maybe a workforce of 10. You know, it's a big deal to have 10 people working with you, but you're still an MSME. And that's why the data is interesting, because these are the businesses that are the backbone of not just Lagos, Nigeria, but Africa at large. So there's life in MSMEs, but at the same time, the death rate is super high. Now, the question is, why?
Hello and welcome to another practical and forward-looking episode of Just Africa on Soup News Television, the program where we explore the people, ideas and systems that shape Africa's economic future. Across Africa, and especially in fast-growing cities like Lagos, micro, small and medium enterprises are creating products, services and experiences with enormous potential. Yet many MSMEs continue to struggle with customer retention, weak differentiation, and unsustainable growth. Often, the problem is not effort or ambition, it is design. Businesses are built around assumptions rather than insights, around products rather than people, and around short-term sales instead of long-term customer value. Today's episode of Just Africa focuses on business design thinking, a powerful approach that places the customer at the center of how businesses are conceived, built, and scaled. I am Emmanuel Amolo, and of course, joining me to run this episode of the show is my delectable African princess, or African queen, as you would like to prefer. Or maybe you don't know with me. Hello, maybe. Did that look alone, Sam? Okay, I'm not prepped. Go on.
Yes. Good afternoon to you, Lagos, Nigeria, and to you from wherever you're watching from across the globe. Welcome to Just Africa. And Emmanuel,
I tried now. I gave you props. I first rose you from princess to queen. I tried now.
I sent you.
So our goal today is very simple. Let's not put around the bush. Businesses are plenty. Somebody can wake up tomorrow now and say, I want to create a business.
Yeah.
The question there is, what is that business meant to do? If it is solely to just put food on your table, perhaps you have already failed from the beginning. Because at that moment, you're not thinking about whether this your business is going to meet a need for the customer. And the conversation essentially is how to get small businesses, medium businesses to scale up or to do better. Yeah. And we know that the lifeblood of African continent, essentially countries, is small-scale businesses.
Sure.
And many of them are plenty. In fact, as we're talking to you now, somebody's thinking about the new business they want to go and venture. This is a new year. The advices that we will need is the kind of conversation we want to have today. Because anyone can decide to start up a business.
Yeah, starting up a business is really not a big deal.
No.
As far as Africans are concerned. The issue is actually the sustainability. So I remember back then when I just started media, I wanted to start a program after staying with my boss for a period of maybe a year or thereabout. He said, starting it is not a problem. But will you be able to sustain it? Because at that time, the program had run for 10 years. Okay, no, 9 years. So he was like, can you sustain it for that period of time? It is not just, okay, so if you think you can, of course, like they do to us in media, go and have your program for 14 weeks.
Yes, 14 weeks.
You understand? For 14 weeks, then you come, then we know that you're ready for 3 months. Now, that's how it is with businesses. Most business owners, most SMEs, medium scales, they don't have this plan. Because I saw someone do this business. So the next
most likely it's going to work for me,
This thing is lucrative. Let's jump into it. You don't put your customer, when you make any decisions, you don't consider your customers. You don't know how, you don't have data. Yesterday we were talking about data. And one of the questions was around making decisions based on instincts. On guts, on traditional methods. You get it, those kind of things. But no, we have to move from that point to a bigger point. We need to scale up to ensure that, yes, businesses thrive in Africa. It is not this what we are doing. Innovation does not require huge capital. It requires a shift in mindset. Until you have a shift in that mindset that, okay, this business is not kabu thing, that my life depends on it. So that is when the mindset will change.
We're lucky in Africa because somebody can just wake up today and start to sell food on the roadside. And then the business has started.
That is what I'm saying.
You have to get permits. You have to do. And when you check all the processes, you don't even start again.
Some places you just like, okay, what kind of people gather for you like this? So if I sell akara or with fried yam, you don't even know if that's what.
You don't check the customers that are interested in it. That they like a particular kind of akara.
Of course, yes, there are.
You know where it's time you want to sell, but that they like. You didn't get any feedback. But we'll be fine. Let me at the end of the conversation today, people will start to rethink.
Yes, exactly. That's I'm very happy that we are having the kind of guest we have in the studio.
She's happy.
Because she's going to explain this thing. She's going to tell us how it works. So if we are saying MSMEs, then you should know that if it concerns you as an African who falls into that category, or you're listening or watching right now and you're not telling someone who falls into that category, then you're not doing that person
at all. Tell your neighbors, let those ones that are thinking of starting a new business in 2026. Look, our goal today is very, very simple. To help MSMEs understand how to design better businesses, not by guessing, but by listening, testing, and building with intention. On today's episode, we are joined by a professional who has spent over a decade helping organizations rethink how they create value, communicate, and serve customers. Our guest is Joan Oghosa Ediagbonya, a business design thinking advocate and an accomplished brand communication and customer experience leader. Joan has worked extensively with MSMEs, ecosystem partners, and public sector initiatives, including her recent work with the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Her experience sits at the intersection of strategy, empathy, branding, and customer insight, helping small businesses to design products, services, and brands that customers actually want. Her work addresses a critical gap in Africa's MSMEs ecosystem, which is moving businesses from intuition-led decisions to customer-centered, design-driven growth. Welcome to Just Africa, Joan.
Thank you.
You had to giggle when I pronounced that surname, and I tried my best in practicing. I practiced, but I tried.
You tried, actually.
Actually, Dr. Oghosa is waiting to pick you up. Anyway.
I already said I tried. I already said I tried. I mean, you was coming from 1 to 10. What would you give me?
Let's give you a 4.5.
Oh,
I did not try.
You tried.
I did not try. That's more like getting my to go. I did not try. Jesus. All right, so for context, look, what kind of business will naturally fall into MSMEs? Let's start with that one. Like, let's break it down first so people will understand, this is the category I actually fall into. Please, what kind of business will fall into an MSME?
Yeah. So when you hear MSME, so it's micro, small, and medium scale enterprises. And for the fact, if you're a sole proprietor, you are the only one driving your business, and also if you have a shop of some limited number of staff, right? So micro, small, medium. Most of the time, they put the numbers between maybe even 50 to 100, right? So now, MSME, you are not a conglomerate, right? You are not a big institution. So that's why most of the time they'll tell you that, for example, most startups can be SMEs, right? Okay. So you are micro, small, medium enterprise. Let's take it back home, right? The tailor on the street, the hairdresser that even has maybe a workforce of 10. It's a big deal to have 10 people working with you, but you're still an MSME. Right. So, and that's why the data is interesting, because these are the businesses that are the backbone of not just Lagos, Nigeria, but Africa at large. More than 80% of the workforce that's employed people collecting pay in Africa is being driven by MSMEs. So we are the fiber, right? Lagos alone, more than 3 million MSMEs exists. And everyone is being registered, news business are popping up. However, that same data has some interesting facts. Of the 80% Africa-wise, almost 90% don't make it past the first 5 years. You can imagine.
Yes.
80% of the workforce in MSMEs is what is driving the economy. And almost 90% don't make it past the first 5 years. So there's life in MSMEs, but at the same time, the death rate
It's high.
is super high. Now, the question is why? And these are analyses that we need to now look into and maybe even discuss that. How come? I think there was a recent business that was able to start as an SME, grew to a global conglomerate. I can call the name here, House of Tara, and she handed over to a new leadership, and it was celebrated across Africa. Why? Because that's one of the very few times an SME doesn't just survive through the owner, but now has new
Ownership
and leadership. That is one of how many? The way it
Like
was
a drop.
celebrated. So it's like a drop in the ocean. So I believe that this is a conversation that is important, not just for conversation's sake, but we are talking about the life and blood of our economy, and it needs to be addressed.
Yes, so
What can be done? What is the issue, and how do we evolve from it?
Yeah, thank you, John. Now, you said something very important. Most of the
MSCs.
MSE, they don't go beyond 5 years.
Yes.
And it keeps repeating. What's responsible?
My guess,
What's killing them?
my guess will, I like that question. My guess would be, in Africa, a lot of dreams are hunger driven.
Okay.
Right. And when you say hunger driven, you are talking about my belly.
Eh.
And that brings me back to me. However, actual businesses that thrive and will make an impact are businesses that have gone through the 5 pillars, right, of design thinking. Now, I will just take us quickly. Let me just name them, and I will say something very interesting. The first point is empathize. E. Now, let's give a typical example. Somebody sees a spot in a very fine Ford junction in Lekki and understands that he wants to sell boli. What's the first thing? The first thing we do is get a boli stand, get chair, start frying boli. Then when people don't come, you blame the economy, blame the president, and blame your village people. However, what will somebody who does design thinking do? The first thing they will do is stand at the junction, look at the people passing by, realize that these people are in a hurry. So what that means that people will stand here and start pricing boli with me. Can I start thinking, okay, is there a way to package sliced boli with sauce and maybe have 2 people that will wear a fine uniform that can quickly just do at this traffic light, can quickly just give them, collect while they are moving, give, collect. That person has empathized with the need. That's empathy. You didn't just come and say that I want to do this business and just go and set up. You empathized. You imagine what the customer will be. You put yourself in their shoe. The second thing is define. What that person did was define the way. Okay, how do we
Do it, yes.
How do we go about this? After you empathize, that means you've seen the need and put the customer first, you've defined, then you ideate. Guess what? That's where a lot of people start from. I have an idea. You will always say, I get one idea.
Yes.
Wisdom. Before you now start ideating. So that's where you put all the possible scenarios to solve what? To solve that issue. That is the customer's pain point.
Yeah.
But people will start from there. They will not start from defining. They'll just start from idea. And when you ideate, there's a tailor now that can just decide that I have an idea. The first thing you want to do, they'll go and disturb one man to come and buy you warehouse. You've not prototyped. That's the next point. You've not tested. You've not prototyped. You've not tried, okay, let me produce for the people in my streets. But you just gone to carry a warehouse. Stock it with something. You made a very good statement that I love. As you were talking, I was almost blushing on your behalf.
She's a book.
Yeah. Okay, let me not say what I said. Now, you said something that you see a lady doing ready to wear. The next thing, you duplicate the exact same thing. First of all, what you don't know is that she's selling primarily to students. So that's why it's affecting her price. Whereas you as a person, your entire network are rich people. If you give them that student price, first of all, they will not rate you. Whereas students will appreciate it. So you don't know her empathy. You don't know how she defined it. You don't know how she now ideated how to address. All you saw was she doing something and you just did copy and paste. Then after prototyping, which is now doing small, then you test. Then after you test, before you repeat it again, you come back to the empathy. Okay, so from there you start defining your idea. That's how you upskill. But you said the problem is all we just stated. People are full of ideas driven by hunger, or get inspiration because you saw someone do it. You didn't take the time to empathize. You didn't take the time to know the customers. So empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So these are the things that design thinking will help us do. Let's give another example. Somebody selling food in Surulere, and by end of the day, she's always closing her business, wasting food. Like I said in the initial example, the pain point is that she opened up. First of all, that's the problem with starting with idea. She came, there's a lot of office around that area. So it will make sense to sell food now, won't it? But what she didn't realize is that people can't leave their office to come and sit down
there to eat.
All she needed to do was to look for a way to have quick mobility.
Yes.
You don't even need to have an app. WhatsApp. Drop an order, have 3 guys that drive bicycle. Just go around. It's even within the same area, just walk around. Another funny thing I will say before I end this is how people can just follow trend, which is a major concern. Something happened to me during the holidays, right? Just before Christmas, I wanted to buy some things. And almost all the shops I went to, both virtually and physically, had gone for holiday. They've closed for the year. But guess what? I also work in a financial institution where we do investments. Now, the biggest withdrawal of their savings in the year happens in December. Sure. So that means that everybody's ready to spend and spend carelessly. After all, they want to dirty December. But you now decided by 15th of the month, you want to close shop. That your staff is. You didn't empathize, you didn't define. So design thinking is doing business both from the point of the customer and in creativity. My advice for a lot of MSMEs out there is this habit of closing for the year in the heat of business should be retaught. Because a lot of people are coming into Nigeria, they want to buy things.
But there are some companies actually need to close for the year, right?
That's understood.
Okay.
Now, but for MSMEs, we have to be smart.
Very smart, yeah.
You have to be smart because people want to buy your product.
Exactly.
Who says that you can't close in the last 2 weeks in January?
Yeah.
Because by that time, everybody don't home.
Yes.
Everybody don't home.
Yes.
So business will be booming in December and you are closing.
Makes sense.
First 2 weeks of January.
In January,
First 2 weeks or even last 2 weeks. Let's say you use the first 2 weeks to now recover from the plenty orders.
Yes.
So you do your books, and close last 2 weeks in January. Why? Because February, Valentine is coming. So new purchase again.
Yes, wisdom.
So these are the things.
Okay, please, in simple terms, because we are throwing some big words and some people are not able to relate. Which one is business design thinking? I know you gave us these 5 pillars, and I'm grateful. It's stuck in my head. I have to even create an acronym for them. EDIPT. EDIPT. I don't know whether it's a word, but I just it makes it last longer in my head. But when you now say business design thinking, please break it down in simple terms. What does that mean?
So
is it planning?
So it's everything I've said, and what it simply means is developing your business from the point of view of the end user, from the person you are going to serve, from the person that is going to be the consumer. A lot of people assume. And they think that their pain points is a global solution. It will shock you. So what's business design thinking? Is designing your business with the customer in the center of the focus so that we don't speak too much grammar.
Yeah.
And then defining who that customer is. So like we said, a lot of people use their personal pain points or just idea from anywhere to understand and run business. But business design thinking is saying no. The customer is the focus. So you design your business around their needs.
In simple terms, if you don't do that, if you don't design your business
right
around the
customer.
customer, what are the potential?
So
Is it
those
that-
are the issues we are facing, which includes the death rate of businesses. Because at the end of the day, you are putting in so much energy, you are putting in so much effort, but the results are minute. Right? That Dirty December example we gave is something typical. If you are putting your customers in the center of your decisions, you should know that your customers are heavy, especially for easy to wear guys.
Yeah.
All this Afro-centric, look at the necklace on you now. A lot of people coming into the country, they want to buy stuff like that, right? If your customers are the bread and butter of your decision making as a business, you should have even figured out that by now. I don't think we should close in December. I think that our closing should happen in January. Now, another example is a salon, right? This owner found out that Fridays from afternoon, the crowd that comes in is like they pursue them from wherever they were hidden. Closing time naturally in that salon is 6 p.m. But 7, 8, 9 on some occasions, people keep knocking. First of all, she had to do the empathize. Empathy being that, how come I can be shutting door against customers walking in just because I close by 6? It doesn't happen Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but it's always happening on Friday. What's the wise thing for an MSME to do, like this owner did, was that they had to ask some people. He said, first of all, Owambe is just around the corner. We went to work all through the week. The perfect time to come and get this thing done is on the Friday afternoon or evening. And she said, wisdom says that, which is after empathizing, defining what the issue is, then that's where the idea is. How about we say that we pay our staff salary, we reduce your salary by 10%, but your Friday pay is a standalone pay, and this is the amount. So what that means, and for that Friday as a whole, whether you are staff or you come from outside, you are hireable for that day. But closing time for that day is 10 p.m. Both her staff and others,
yes,
they came because Friday pay you will collect it. Now what that means is that when all salons have closed, everybody knows that salon is open. So all the Owambe gigs, you've gotten it. Extra staff just for that day, you've gotten it. That is business design thinking in action.
Wow,
so who doesn't think like this, Ben?
Yes. Okay, so you talked about something earlier on, talking about experimentation. Now, most businesses are scared of failure. So they don't want to experiment. I don't have the strength to experiment and all that. So how do you help a business owner to understand that failure sometimes is actually not failure in the real sense? It is actually a success. How do you explain that to a business owner?
Thank you. So in startup terms or in financial terms, they call it minimum viable product. What that means is that's what prototyping is. Anytime you need to do something, always do it small. So what that means is that even if you are starting a business, test it a bit. Experimentation, testing is critical to determine if this thing you want to do will be long-lasting. So if a business owner doesn't want to fail in the long term, they should realize that experimentation is a critical foundation for the longevity of your business.
Do MSMEs, do they really think about like we said earlier, most of them don't think about the long term. And in your definition, the stomach. So someone who is not even thinking about the long-term business right now, how do you encourage the person that you still need to experiment?
So that's why when I worked with the Lagos State Employability Trust Fund, these are the kind of trainings and education and we have to put out there. Thankfully to you guys and Soak News TV, right, and Just Africa, we are discussing this topic and trusting that a lot of people can see this kind of information. Right? We need to host workshops. We need to let people know that we can't continue to do business as we are doing now. Why? Because this is economy backbone we are talking about. With the figures we gave, knowing that almost 50% of non-oil GDP in Nigeria is generated from MSMEs, then maybe both individuals, corporates, and even the government needs to come together and put training programs where we discuss these things. Because I don't think that a business owner, though driven by hunger, gets to understand these terminologies, we don't have a rethink. You talked about mindset, right? There's mindset, there's mind shift.
Yes.
What brings mind shift is now the information and knowledge that comes into the picture. So I think a lot of trainings, a lot of the need to always talk about these things will give the needed shift. However, MSMEs cannot continue to run business the way we do.
But have you ever seen any way, maybe an example where failure actually turned out to be success in the process of prototyping? Have you ever seen any of such situations? At least that will encourage someone out there.
Yes, I have. Though this happened in a corporate, remember I said that so it may not be those selling in the streets, but however, this happened in the corporate setting. Very interesting. Let me just say this. Now, a lot of businesses, they'll just go copy and paste. So this happened in a small scale insurance industry, right? There's something called term insurance. So what that means is that you insure your life so that if something happens to you, they pay your loved ones amount.
That's okay,
But in Nigeria, no, nothing will do me. God forbid.
It's even difficult to sell that.
Thank you. However, this is the business they do.
Yeah.
How do they sell it? So the business had run for some years. Only the educated ones that understand the importance, right, of term assurance were open to it. However, we had to have a sit down to say that let's empathize with the reality of this market. Because it's happening in A, but we can see it's struggling in B. What is the issue with debt? First of all, there's a cultural barrier. We don't like debt. We don't want to talk about it. Don't tell me to come and pay you that if I die. Why should I die? Why will I die? Are you usually die? No, the only thing that dies is that they die by fire. We don't die here. So, but two realities came. The average Nigerian likes to give their older loved ones a befitting rest.
Except themselves.
Yes. So if somebody's aged mother dies, they go to do burial and spend millions.
Yes.
Empathy. Number two is that, we were joking and said that, when you go person mama burial, because I call you mama burial, you not give me food chop, abi. When your own mama die, no worry.
Exactly.
But, we just joke about all of that. So we put a product together to say that, you know what? We did, of course, focus group, ask people questions. I say, if you insure your older loved one and they die, we pay you. Let's say you are paying insurance of 5,000 every year. Every month. If something happens to them, you get up to 3 million. You say, now. However, we don't know who goes first.
Yeah.
So God forbid you go first. Your life, your own loved ones too be covered. That brought about, they were now more receptive. Okay. Because when loss happens, two things happen. The immediate emotional loss hits you. The next is the immediate basic financial loss. Because money for burial must drop.
Yeah.
So that was how we entered into the average customers and say, if you lose your older loved ones, and some were not even asking. After they say, okay, I'm also responsible, especially the men. If my mother-in-law or father-in-law dies, I'm still responsible. So now say, okay, for married people, you can insure your own parents and your parents-in-laws. And that product did so well that people now started asking, what's of my uncle or my auntie? You say, you are a suspect. Why you going to ask for auntie? So that your uncle auntie are beefy, you go kill and go collect money. So we not accept uncle auntie. We did not. Before people go start killing their village people. Now that's a typical example of prototyping.
Yes.
We tested. It didn't work. So imagine the entire marketing money and they planned. All we just did was to come and say, come and when you die,
your life.
You show your life and when you die. I just tell you.
No, I'm not dying.
But that prototyping, testing, discussing with the average customer, getting the pain points and building a product around that became
a success.
A success.
That's
Okay,
true.
so I know I know I'm saying up. Anyway, so I know MSMEs are essentially driven by customers. You'll be able to study patterns when you went to this training with the Lagos State agency. What did you notice about customers? Because they would always tell you customers are always right. But is that saying actually true? Because sometimes we don't even know what we want as customers. What did you notice as a pattern of customer behavior?
I think because I dealt with the business owners themselves, for those that showed up for those kind of empowerment workshop, they are also looking for solutions. They also don't exactly know, how to go about these things. They're also trying to say, okay, how do we do it? How do we not do it? You talked about data just now. When people hear data, they'll think it's some big
Numbers or
numbers
math.
or everything.
Yeah,
I was telling
or it
someone
has
that
to be for big companies.
exactly. I was telling someone that your WhatsApp status can be your biggest research and development tool. How? Just put up questions in there. Hello, if you have been buying something from me or you do a broadcast, what can I do differently that will help you be better? What has been your biggest pain point doing business with me? WhatsApp. The same WhatsApp that some of us will look at status and laugh morning till night. If you do a broadcast and you put it on your status, that's a research and development lab. So the first thing they are getting to now realize is that customers need to be spoken to. You must look for a feedback channel. That is something that I found out. That they know that customers are not happy. They don't know how to harness feedback. When you ask them, do you have data? They say, no, I'm a small business. Hello. But you've been doing business for 3 years. And all the people that have bought from you, both those that were angry and happy, you have their number on your phone. Why can't you do a WhatsApp broadcast? You don't even need to put form if you don't know it. Just say yes or no. And sit down and calculate all of them that said yes or no. And now say, that means people are not happy. Oh yes, people are happy. But so a lot of times people think the major problem is price. That may also be that's not always the case. It may be the service you are rendering not being excellent enough or not meeting the particular need they prefer. We've given a lot of examples on this call to say that the one that wants to set up Bolly, whereas people are moving fast, nobody will stand there, right? So at the end of the day, MSME owners and those driving MSMEs are looking for answers, and the first thing we tell them is that the answer lies within the people you've served so far, even if it's 5 to 10. And if you've not served anyone, you want to start, like we said, prototype. Start small. But you must start with empathy. Don't start with idea. So empathize. Ask around, right? What will people like in this area? We've seen, there was a day where I usually pass that road. Say, sorry, just 3 questions for you, ma. I'm like, we just opened a shop here. I want to know, from this, and this, what will you preferably eat? I say, oh, okay. So I knew what they were doing because I said, okay, I would like to eat this. Will you like deliveries? Would you like to come in? I said, I said, if there's AC, I could. But if it's something I can easily just pick up. That's a roadside, and they're already putting all of that. So ensure that you bring this. So data, don't be scared of data. Don't be scared of data gathering. Don't be scared of customer feedback. Because those are the things that will determine your longevity. And learn. Don't assume. You said that.
Yes, the assumption is killing. Okay, so talking about these people again, we have talked about the business side of it. We've done a whole lot on that. Now we're talking about younger people who want to come into this line of business. They want to do what you're doing. Are there particular skills one needs to become an analyst or someone who is into designing businesses? Are there skills that they need for them to come into this industry?
So a lot of those skills, I'll call them what we call soft skills. Okay. We'll start from there. So most of the time, people think technical skills are important, but you see soft skills, very important. How hungry and driven are you? Because you cannot talk about design thinking without empathy. So how well do you see this organization and your heart is pained that I want to be the solution provider? If you look at a lot of businesses that are causing a revolution, and let's say Child Deck, for example, what happened? It came from a point of pain. The guy needed food. You understand?
Yeah.
And he searched around, he couldn't find. Right? So that pain bettered an idea. However, he did his due diligence by asking, empathizing, defining. So the question is, what is driving you? You must build your emotional quotient, or what we call social quotient, not just your intellectual capacity. Most of the time when people are talking skills now, they will run to one marketing training, workshop, soft skills. How well can you talk? Listening skills, especially in a generation where people have very low span rates.
Yes,
for
attention
focus.
span. Yes, attention span is low.
It's low. How well can you discipline yourself and say, you know what, in the next 5 hours, no phone. I want to read this book. I want to be on this page. Now, those are soft skills. So to build businesses or come and analyze or be a strategist or be a design thinking mentor, you must build your soft skills. There are also soft skill trainings. Even soft skill trainings exist. So, yes. So you see, communication skills is a training.
Do you train people?
Yes. So what I did with Lagos State Employment Trust was a training program that we did with them. So we trained the MSMEs in Lagos through that arm. So we do trainings and we also do consults.
How do people get into the training? Maybe do they have to go through a certain process? Have to go online and register and fill forms, or how
often do this
how often does it happen? And how can people be part of it? Because right now, not everybody will have access to those kind of trainings, and sometimes they tell you the cost of registration is high, and what can or how do they get access to it? How do they get involved? How often does it happen? Just let us know.
All right, thank you. So though most of the time I partner with organizations to be a facilitator, in 2026 we're also looking at hosting our own workshop for Elive Consulting, because I train with Elive, though I have my full-time work. So Elive Consulting is all over social media, so we can receive a DM. Still, just thinking out loud, Soak News TV can decide to have an empowerment session and invite people like me and one or two other people to have a training, maybe 4-hour session, right? Because you talk about the economy, you guys do very great work, right? So we can partner with facilitators and trainers like us, bring people in, right, to do a training empowerment workshop, maybe as part of your corporate social responsibility. At the end of the year, or whenever, maybe your company anniversary. Those are also things. Like we said, Lagos State government, they were trying to do something. So they looked for a facilitator like me to come and talk on design thinking and help them scale. Then as a person, I personally know how difficult it can be for some of these people to pay for some things. That's why I partner more with institutions that are giving back or organizing programs.
Yeah.
But as an independent entity, it's also something I'm looking forward to be able to train, because people need to be trained.
SMEs, what business mind shift do they need right now for us to really scale better than the way we are in Africa right now? What do we need? Let's say that will help us grow in the next 5 years.
Before, I want to add to that, because my question was going to be, so many of them will always tell you, because we don't have money, that's why we're not scaling up. Please correct that notion.
Yeah.
Add it to
That mindset, yeah.
First of all, capital is never the problem. The problem is how viable is the solution that you are bringing, and what's the mindset? Like, how is your customer in the middle of the mix? Trust me, like I said, I work in a financial institution. The data says that even when SMEs get funded, more than 70% cannot return interests and pay back their loan. So capital is not the problem. Now, that's why a lot of institutions, including banks, are skeptical to finance SMEs. Why? Because the nature of doing business, like we said, it all still goes back. You are hunger driven. You don't understand the business design thinking, right? You are not going through trainings and understanding business structure. All you just think is capital. Somebody was saying that, a lot of people, like we said, they will always blame government. But that's not why we are here.
Enabling environment.
That's not, funny enough, about the enabling environment, according to someone, I'm not a tax expert, right? But I understand that even MSMEs, until you make a 50 million profit, you are not taxable. So that's the government even supporting you. And I hear that exports, right, is free, untaxed. And some other tiny things that maybe a tax expert will give to show that even the government you are crying about, they are also supporting you to come up. Why? Because they've seen that these people are the key drivers.
Yes.
They are the life, they are the flesh and blood of the economy. So
the mind shift. What do we need to change?
The mind shift will be like, money is not the problem. The problem is me skilling up. The solution is me also ensuring that what I am delivering is viable in the market. And you have tested it before you scale. So everything still comes back to this business design thinking.
Yeah.
Don't just go and boom, test. First of all, let your testing be that you've ideated it, you empathized, you defined. Rather, you empathized first, you defined, you ideated, you prototyped, small. Test the water. So it still comes back to all of this. And for the few businesses that have taken this to the core are the ones we are seeing thriving. Like the House of Tara, the Child Deck, right? Where they were able to bring in solutions. Like I said, for the insurance example I gave, they didn't just come and just hit the market. So they tested, and when they saw the one working before they started bringing. So that rethinking must happen. Don't just go from I have an idea and hit the ground running.
You don't run the ground. You will run, but you run the Thank you so much, Joan, for being. It's an exciting conversation. I wish we could have it for longer because I was learning. And I was thinking about all the businesses that I had thought about. I said, God knows this one wouldn't have known. No, this one would have just died natural death. Because this kind of insights are things that help you decide better, make better decisions. And you don't make mistakes that your predecessors have been making. Now you can understand why some businesses fail without even having to go into it to see. First of all, you can just sit back and say, okay, this was what they were not doing. And the analysis can give you better results. And of course, I love the fact that you're also heavy on data is very, very important.
Yeah.
A lot of people need to take that back home. What did you pick up on maybe?
Yes, don't just wake up and start and say you want to open a shop.
And you'll be lucky if you...
No. You have to follow the process. If you don't follow, there's no cutting corners. If you cut corners, the business is going to die. That's my take. She just mentioned 5 important pillars for any business.
That one I stopped already.
You get it.
I told you.
So you have to.
Everybody remember that EDIPT. EDIPT. I tried for you.
You get it. So if you are able to apply those 5 steps before you go big, see, that business won't die.
So even at prototype, even at prototyping, if you see that it's not going to work, you can go back again.
Exactly.
You get it. That was what she said. So when you are testing, okay, it's not working, people are not patronizing, the customers are not coming back, you have to go back and check.
Maybe
is it me?
Or
what did I miss?
Yeah.
Better still, meet someone who understands these things. So it's that simple. Then look out for the opportunities for training. Like you rightly said, Lagos State is partnering with them. Lagos State will always help. So why don't you ask questions instead of just saying it's village people that is making my business to die?
But anyway, we'll correct a lot of that. Thank you so much, Joan, once again for coming on the show. But of course, like she likes to do, but I'm going to do that. She likes you to connect to Africa some way.
Yes.
But I'll invite you.
She was very excited.
Try to do it again. But I will not set you up like that, right? Just tell us, as an African, as a Nigerian, what parts of the country are you from? Okay. And please tell me your favorite local food.
And the meaning of the surname, don't forget that.
Okay. Oh. She has toasted something. Your favorite it has to be local food. Oh yeah. Break that one out first. Tell us where you're from.
All right.
And then let's start.
All right. My name is Oghosa Ediagbonya, Joan. So if you hear the thickness in that name, you know that I'm from the rich. So I'm from Edo State, mother and father, full-blown Bini girl, proudly so. My favorite food is plenty, but let me stick with black soup and original pounded yam. Slay. What they call egile.
Did you hear that? So now you see, because she has mentioned egile, that's snail in Edo, right? Good. That will now make you to speak the Edo language to say hello to our. To say hello to Africa, to say hello to your fans that are watching right now. I know that they're watching. And
I'll use Edo to say all of
yes, what do you speak?
What do I speak?
What's the dialect?
Benin.
So it's not as hard. It's not that hard. So you just tell us. Yeah, of course, it's just Africa. Let's go back home. We'll be speaking English. Let's speak our local dialect.
My village people, I hope I make you proud.
Amen.
Let's go. All right, Obatope,
Yeah.
Oya Wesu, Ibi Africa, Ibi Nigeria, Ibi Lagos, Ibi Edo, also Joan Ediagbonya, ATM, and so Oya Wesu, and keep watching Just Africa.
You try. I will try for you, sir. I will not give you 4.5. As you gave me 4.5 with the pronunciation today, but you didn't tell us the meaning of the surname, though.
Or the surname. Also, first of all, my name means God's property or God's own.
Okay.
Ediagbonya means stay alive.
God's own will stay alive.
That's good.
Don't leave me. All right, today's conversation with Joan, of course, highlights a very simple but powerful truth that successful businesses are designed, not guessed. For Africa's MSMEs, the growth is no longer just about working harder. It's about understanding customers better, testing ideas faster, and building brands that consistently deliver value. Business design thinking offers entrepreneurs a practical framework to reduce risk, improve customer experience, and scale sustainably.